Hey guys, welcome to Isaiah's Reviews, and I am back from the beach. Therefore, I have a whole host of beach products to actually review. And one of the first ones coming out the gate here is Solbello. Hope I get that right. It is a kind of safe way to take the place of your beach umbrella because there are a lot of instances, like every time I go, someone's umbrella goes flying. That exact same thing happened on this trip. I got popped in the face by one of the arms of the umbrella. I didn't bleed, but it kind of got numb, like right in this area here. Not so much here or here, but right here. And it was just boom, 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 boom. And I had kids and everything else around, so I'm kind of like, I got to time this just right to grab it. But anyway, this kind of obliterates that whole thing, which is really cool. I'm going to read some specs on it, then we're going to get into it, video of it on the beach in all different conditions, because thankfully it stormed like every day, except for like one day. One day it was like this perfect, calm, humid heat on the beach day, but the rest was like super windy and stuff. So I was able to gather a sense of how it would act in all conditions, I believe, and make a good assumption about the product. But it's made of marine grade stainless steel, aluminum, and high quality parachute material. Solbello offers a huge spread of 50 plus UV protection. It's a fast setup, which that is true. Low maintenance, that's true. Feasibly the best shade canopy on the planet. I don't know about all that. Its patent pending design allows Solbello to self-adjust as the wind shifts. That is true, and that is very neat. All while holding up in an array of wind conditions better than anything else out there. I don't know about that. The canopy stretches to 8 by 8 feet, which is fantastic. It is a huge amount of shade cast, which is great. I love that. It stands 7.5 feet tall, which is fantastic. You can walk and it's not in your way. Its folded length is 47 inches, so just, like a standard umbrella that you would take to the beach, and it weighs 4.5 pounds, which is no different than any of the other umbrellas like Tommy Bahama. We have a lot of Tommy Bahama umbrellas, and some of us have like some Nautica ones, but mainly I think everybody has the Tommy Bahamas, and they really like those. And the cool thing, before I forget, is the Tommy Bahamas, the auger that you turn, and it has the plastic auger on the end, like this here. This is the Solbello, but this whole setup right here is exactly the same as the deluxe Tommy Bahamas that I have, and this will fit. The Solbello will actually fit in the Tommy Bahama. So if we'll get into why that is important here shortly, but now let's do a little chitty chat about the bag. The bag is here. This is sewn in and very pronounced. So the bag itself, good job. The bag has a little cinch here to tie and stay put, which is nice. But the cool part is, I hope you can really see this, but there is a divider in here, that yellow piece right there. So the yellow piece goes through the center and attaches through the stitching on the front and back there. But it's just a perfect divider inside the yellow is. So now that we got the bag out of the way, because it's kind of full of sand, so I had to take it out outside and dust everything off. And the cool part, this parachute material here, the sand falls right off of it. No issues whatsoever. There is, of course, branding on this parachute material that you can see right there, Solbello. This is very light and flimsy, but durable. I was surprised at the stitching here. I kind of combed it over. But this is a huge 8 by 8, so I'm going to unravel this. And don't worry, we're going to get to this whole thing in video form on the beach and stuff. So I'm just going to point out some of the mechanics of it, and then we won't view this anymore here. But this is a very neat design. And there is a Phillips head here. So if this comes undone or something, you could probably replace that if you lost it. So it's not like a rivet that's stamped in there that would be like impossible to replace. But a lot of this material is the same that you've seen before on deluxe umbrellas like Tommy Bahama's deluxe. But here's the part that's really proprietary and pretty cool, is this folds out here and then opens up to this massive 8 by 8 sail, which is cool. And right here at the very top, You'll get a better sense of this later, but here's a little hand tightening little screw thing here, which you can reduce the amount of swing that it's going to have in it. So you basically can stop it. You can tighten that down and stop it from moving in the direction of the wind change, which you kind of will have to do as the wind slows down, I noticed. But if it's like fast all out, it doesn't matter because it's all in, it seems to be in the same direction. But here is the part that is a little recessed section here that goes down into the pole back here, the auger pole. And the auger handles here just go like that. So, and this looks pretty rugged. I didn't feel like it was weird or flimsy or anything like that whenever I was tightening it down. So I feel like that would last. The tape that shows you where to aug it down to into the sand is kind of coming off already. This didn't serve much of a purpose. I need to actually tighten that if I can. I don't think I can, but I may put a little layer of tape around here, because when I put this down and kind of lower this down to you would think cinch around the pole a little bit, it really doesn't do anything. So it just kind of sits in there free. But I know I didn't have an issue with it, so it's probably just fine. So ignore that. And then whenever you put this up, you just roll it up. It's a super simple process, and we'll get down to what it looks like to set this thing up and take it down. It's super fast and easy, not much different than any other umbrella that you're ever going to put away from the beach. I requested one of these, so I was able to get it at a discount from the seller. Was lucky enough to get it before we left because they didn't know whether or not the pre-orders would make it in time. So I was able to get that, which is good. But the cool thing was I found it on another website. And just for safety's sake, and plus I kind of wanted two of them, I went ahead and got a second one at full price and had two to take with me, which was very beneficial, I thought, to the review, because that's what I would usually take anyway out to the beach, is like 2 umbrellas minimum. So covering the setup process is super simple. I just take the heel of my foot, kick out a spot to get down to some good solid sand, and then just stick the auger in there, turn it down to the line till it goes down to the sand to the red line, and then I angle it just slightly into the wind and put in the top part of the canopy, open that canopy up, and it is a gorgeous 8x8. To see that thing flail out into the wind was pretty impressive. And your 7-foot standard umbrella or deluxe umbrella, whatever you have, is 7 foot usually, but this was impressive over that. And the cool part is everyone around us had some umbrellas. I busted out an SO10 canopy later so we can compare that as well, but on our first usage it was kind of impressive because it was windy and it did a beautiful job and we didn't have any issues out of that. I mean, it's like takes that hard wind, there's like there's no pull, there's no drag from the wind, I guess. So like however you set it up, there's no risk of it just taking this thing and blowing and it flying, which is really cool because you can push on the pole with the fastest wind under the sun, because we had like hard wind where our umbrellas, we had to close them and nobody down the beach, everybody's canopies was, they took the material off. It was just skeleton canopies down the beach, and everybody's umbrellas was closed except for the Solbello. Those things were just, and it's audible. If you listen to the noise, it's audible, but you get used to it, I think, because it's kind of like, whoa, that tail's whipping in that hard wind. But you get some shade and you kind of get used to it, so I wouldn't make that too big of a concern. So when you push on the pole in the hardest of wind, there was no resistance. I never felt like this thing was going to fly out. And if it did fly out of the ground, it's just going to lay there. It's not going to go tumbling or fly off. It's just going to lay there. So from a safety perspective, I feel like it's very impressive. Like from now on, this will always go with us to the beach because of that. And later on in life, you know, as these kids get older of mine, right now we take the SO10 canopy down because we want that large coverage for the kids to play under there and do their thing. I'm content with an umbrella. All the adults are content with that. So for future sake, for me going to the beach, I'm going to carry 2 deluxe Tommy Bahama umbrellas and 2 Solbellos from now on out. And you got a backup auger when you get there, so you can leave 2 of your augers back at the beach house, condo, or whatever, if you break one, you got a backup because it's kind of universal fit, and you can just kind of, it has the wind, you can use a standard umbrella for low wind if you want to, because I don't want to get too ahead of myself, because on the low wind part of it, I thought that performed poorly. The one day that we didn't have any wind, it was just flopping around in the in-law's face. They didn't like it too much, so they're kind of getting out of the way of it. And it was kind of annoying as well, because you want it to free spin so it can change with that low wind. Well, then you try to dial it in and it just folds over on itself. It folds back on itself because the wind changes. It seems to shift a lot with the lower winds. So figuring out how to dial it in was difficult, and plus it just flopped around in your face. So low wind, I feel like, to me, that's whenever you're going to want to bust out your traditional umbrella, because I think the partnership of this is your traditional umbrella and the Solbello. I think that's a dynamic duo. Where I'm at in the future is 2 of the umbrellas, 2 of the Solbellos. As the wind gets high, take the umbrellas down, pop them out, leave this in the ground, and then take the Solbello, pop those in, pop it up, and it can resist those high winds. Takedown on the Solbellos is super quick. You just pull it out of the top, collapse that down, roll it up, stick it in one of the sides of the dividers in the bag, take the auger out, smack it around, knock the sand off of it, and stick it in the other side of the bag. And that's it. It's just like a traditional umbrella. It's probably easier than a traditional umbrella because I think there's a little bit more wiggle room in the bag than on your traditional umbrella, because it may be the fact that this is actually a little bit thinner than what your usual umbrella would collapse down to. This fabric is super thin, so it doesn't take up like any real estate. So basically all you're dealing with is the frame itself on this thing, which is great. So yeah, the put up is just as simple as the install, easier as a matter of fact than the install. So I love that part of it. So we tested the Solbello against the Nesso tent canopy. I like those because you're not going to beat the amount of shade real estate that you're going to get in a small bag. So really pitted that against the Solbello. There wasn't much difference between the two. I liked the setup of the Solbello better than the Nesso tent canopy because you have to get down there and dig holes out, fill up the bags full of sand and stuff like that. So it's more hands-on with the Nesso tent than the Solbello. So, but the price, if you buy 2 Solbellos, you know, you're dancing in 300 plus territory, because these are like 160 bucks a piece. So the Nesso tent is not that expensive. You get 2 poles standard with it. If you got to remember to remove, like if you get extra poles, you want to do the 4-pole configuration on the Nessos, you got to remove those 2 in the back with high wind, or you'll start snapping some poles. I have snapped poles before on the Nesso, so get the middle size one if you go for it. Which I don't remember what it's called, but the middle size of the Nesso is the best, because once you get bigger, it's just more pulling on those poles and they'll snap. So both will survive in ultra high winds. I felt way more comfortable with the Solbellos in high wind than I did the Nesso canopy. The Nesso tent canopy will work, but when you get really, really high wind, you're kind of like, God, those poles are just kind of flexed. You can see it, and I imagine they'll snap at some point. They really have it in the medium size or smaller with me, just that large because the fabric's so heavy and stuff. But the Solbello to me is safer option, and probably the long course, the long haul, you'll save money because you'll have to replace poles eventually at some point or something, I'm sure. And you don't have to get out there in the sand and dig holes. So the Solbello, simple setup, easy breezy in the wind, of course, and so all around I do recommend it. But when that low wind hits, I don't think you can ditch your traditional umbrellas just yet. I do recommend getting these. If you do have traditional umbrellas and that's what you use, this is just going to be an upgrade in those windy conditions where you have to collapse your umbrella and then you're out in the heat. Yeah, it's windy, but you're kind of miserable because you're hot as well. You don't get that shade. Well, you're going to get an 8x8 shade on this. So make sure to follow the link down in the YouTube description. Go check these out. So good job on the creator of this. This is just a dad on a mission here in the US. He was like, I got this problem and I'm going to solve it. And he did. And this product, I loved you know, recommending products that just your average guy makes for his family, and this is what this product is. So follow the link down in the YouTube description and make sure to explode on that subscribe button. Ding that dong so you get notified of the next beach product that I got. And I got quite a few more coming, at least 4 more beach videos of products that I tested down at the beach. But this one was the neatest one, the most original one. So my hat's off for this product. Great invention, but you just got to know what you're getting in advance, set your expectations correctly, and this will be a fantastic addition to your arsenal of sun protection for those kiddos and adults drinking those beverages. See ya.